big whirlpool. As soon as these three words came out, the female pirate leader Sarah finally had a bright look in her eyes, and quickly ordered, slow down, don't get close to the big whirlpool for 20 kilometers. Soon, Sarah jumped onto the back of the female guard of the winged bloodline. Come on, take me to see the big whirlpool? The female guard of the winged bloodline nodded solemnly. Then he carried Sarah on his back and flew to the sky covered by scarlet mist. Through the faint scarlet mist, Sarah soon saw that there was indeed a terrifying deep-sea whirlpool nearly 30 kilometers ahead. The whirlpool was spinning continuously, sucking in the surrounding seawater, deep and bottomless, with a terrifying destructive power. At the same time, in addition to Sarah, Joseph and the other two King Kongs all came here on the bone sailboat and stopped in the nearby waters. They discussed with each other in the air and took out all three runes of the ancient god of natural disasters. When three runes of the ancient god of calamity gathered in this sea area, suddenly, the destructive whirlpool in front suddenly expanded towards the surroundings. At the same time, all the players in this sea area heard a system prompt, "Welcome to the trial of the ancient god of calamity, Lord Utos." Lord Utos is very generous. This trial is open to everyone, but whether you can get the reward depends on whether you have enough strength and luck. Of course, those who have runes will have certain advantages in the trial. Each rune of the ancient god of calamity you have will have the frequency of attacks you suffer. In the trial, the effects of multiple runes can be accumulated. Tip. During the trial, the death will definitely drop the Calamity Ancient God rune. You can snatch the Calamity Ancient God rune from other people, and reduce the frequency of your own attacks in the trial to 1/8 at most. When this system prompt came out, thousands of Coconut Country players in this sea area were all dumbfounded. Originally, they came together to attack. They all thought that they just came to see if they could help this time. Unexpectedly, can they also participate? It turns out that having a rune will only gain an advantage, not a qualification certificate for participating in the trial. Oh my god. The system prompts that luck can also be used. There is no need to snatch the rune. My luck has always been against the sky. I will definitely take off in this trial. Who said it is unnecessary? Since it depends on each person's strength, we must help our president to snatch the ancient god rune from others. At this time, they have 3 ancient god runes in their hands. One was in Joseph's hand, one was in Sarah's hand, and the other one was obtained by the joint efforts. It was difficult to distribute them among them. So in order to show fairness and sincerity, they gave it to the other 2 King Kongs for joint custody, originally planned to explore together, but now, the trial rules have made everyone in the field have different ideas, and they can't retreat even if they want to, because the big whirlpool on the sea has spread to the surroundings, and at a speed exceeding the speed of sound, it quickly engulfed all the surrounding skeleton sailboats. Thousands of players were drawn into this violent whirlpool amid screams, sinking madly towards the bottom of the sea. Just a moment later, there was only one big whirlpool left in the hundreds of kilometers around this sea area, and the whirlpool swallowed everyone in this sea area. It was under this circumstance that Qin Feng arrived. He maintained the highest stealth state, and even maintained the soul stealth state, spread the wings of death, and flew over the sea area. According to the intelligence, when he first entered this sea area, he was still a little confused. Didn't we say that we are all here? Why is there no one here? Before he could think about it, he heard the same system prompt as the previous players. Wow, this trial is actually a public trial. Qin Feng looked at the huge vortex below. Although it had a great suction force on him, his attributes were too high and the vortex couldn't suck him at all. His expression was a little playful. However, this public trial can't be a trial for reincarnation gain, so this is a qualifying round. Only if you get a good enough score in this trial, you are eligible to enter the trial for reincarnation gain. This is similar to the previous tomb of the God of Bones. You must pass an entry test before you can have the formal exam later. There is no doubt that Qin Feng will definitely participate in this trial, but just before he went down, he heard another system prompt, Player Shadow. Since you joined late, in order to avoid unfairness, you will get a total increase of 87% in movement speed after the trial begins, which will last for 30 seconds. Man, good luck. Hearing the system prompt, Qin Feng could only say, this is too polite, right? Avoid unfairness. Qin Feng could only say, isn't it the biggest unfairness for him to come to this trial like this? He didn't hesitate, and the death wings behind him instantly spread out, taking him to the whirlpool on the sea at a brand new explosive speed. Oh my god, this speed. Cool. Qin Feng's speed reached the extreme at this moment. Originally, his flying speed reached 3,000 meters per second, and now he has obtained a total increase of 87% in movement speed, which has exceeded 500 meters per second, which is more than 16 times the speed of sound. As for why the effect of this total increase in movement speed is not an integer, Qin Feng guessed that the effect of this increase is calculated based on the time he came. The later you come, the higher the gain. However, Qin Feng felt that, except for him, the others who were supposed to come had already been swallowed by the whirlpool. I was only half a minute late. How many people could still be alive inside? In addition, the runes of the ancient god of natural disasters will be dropped when you die inside. I can definitely collect all 3 runes. Plop! Qin Feng rushed into the violent whirlpool of seawater, just like diving into a washing machine. The whole world was spinning, and the surrounding tsunami-like seawater was hitting him hard. Sure enough, the impact of these seawaters is harmful. Please dive through the natural disaster area. Violent flood? Bah. After entering the whirlpool, Qin Feng was like entering the drum of a washing machine. Attacked by the surrounding violent water flow, as Qin Feng's shadow perception unfolded, he quickly felt that in the violent seawater around him, there were already hundreds of players' bodies, torn to pieces by the whirlpool of seawater. The combat power of these players is too weak. Qin Feng sighed. How could ordinary people participate in this kind of ancient god's trial? Even top players like the 4 King Kongs of Coconut Country would find it difficult to survive in this level of environment. Of course, if they had the runes of the ancient god of natural disasters, they might be able to hold on for a while. But Qin Feng was different. When the surrounding water attacks came like a violent tsunami, Qin Feng's health bar did not move in this vortex. The frequency of the vortex attack at this time is 16 times per second, which is really weak. Qin Feng felt the attacks around him. Compared with the attack power of the world's spine sea, this violent water attack is far inferior. Not only is the attack power poor, but the hit rate is even worse. Qin Feng's death wings took him down quickly. The surrounding water attacks occasionally hit him, but they didn't cause any damage to him. At this moment, Qin Feng's damage reduction attribute is really too high. Now his damage reduction to water elements has reached more than 35 times in total. In other words, if the basic damage of these water attacks is 1 million, then they can only cause about 30 points of damage to Qin Feng, which can be completely offset by the damage resistance attribute. Although Qin Feng's damage resistance is not high, it is more than enough to resist a few hundred points of damage. What's more, Qin Feng's 95% dodge rate is no joke. The surrounding water attacks could hardly hit him, let alone hurt his health bar. Keep sinking. Qin Feng continued to sneak towards the depths of the sea. After killing the World Spine Sea, Qin Feng could only say that this environment was like returning home. The violent storm-like attacks were not even a tickle to Qin Feng. As Qin Feng dived, he saw that many powerful players from the Coconut Country died one after another in the sea area. Most players could not hold on to this first wave of water attacks alone. This time, the water attack caused millions of damage. Who can withstand it at this stage? Even if they can withstand it for a while, this water attack occurs more than 10 times per second. It is too difficult for these players to participate in this kind of ancient god trial now. Of course, the difficulty of similar trials will be adjusted according to the player's level, but at the moment, these Coconut Country players simply couldn't reach the threshold to participate in this trial. As Qin Feng went deeper and deeper into the sea, he found that the surrounding water flow attacks became more and more violent. Suddenly, he broke into an empty area, and the endless seawater around him suddenly disappeared. Please dive through the natural disaster area. Silence Thunder Disaster. Ba-bam. Qin Feng frowned. He found that although the surrounding seawater disappeared, there were obviously some things in the space that could slow him down, like sticky glue. If the resistance to diving in the water is 1, then in this space, the resistance to diving is at least 3, and this is not the most terrifying. The most terrifying thing is the natural disaster power that swept in from the surroundings. Silence Thunder Disaster. When Qin Feng came here, he only paused for a second, and there were dozens of purple lightnings from all directions, attacking him instantly. The speed of these purple lightnings made Qin Feng unable to react at all. Fast. Too fast. This caused Qin Feng to be enveloped by dozens of purple lightnings on the spot. Boom, boom, boom. You are immune to the paralysis control effect of the Destruction Thunder Disaster. You are immune to the immobilization control effect of the Destruction Thunder Disaster. In fact, during the violent flood just now, Qin Feng was immune to the slowdown effect throughout the whole process. But at that time, Qin Feng relied on the inviolable affix to offset the slowdown. And now, Qin Feng didn't even deduct the inviolable affix, because Qin Feng's Blessing of the Thunder Fairy skill made him completely immune to the lightning control effect. Hey, is that the rune of the ancient god of natural disasters in front? Suddenly, Qin Feng saw the bodies of 2 male players in this space, both from the Coconut Country. They seemed to fight for the rune of the ancient god of natural disasters, just to make their own trial results better. But unfortunately, they had no way to survive if they fought during this trial. They were weak to begin with, and they were fighting internally. What was the point? So, Both died. Congratulations on obtaining a rune of the ancient god of natural disaster. The frequency of attacks you suffered in the trial is reduced to 12. If Qin Feng was originally attacked by lightning 40 times per second, then now he only receives lightning damage 20 times per second, and the frequency of damage is directly halved. Of course, this effect is completely meaningless to Qin Feng because such damage, let alone 40 times per second, even 400 times or 4,000 times per second, will not have any effect on Qin Feng. The damage level is too low. However, the attack against me is at the 40th level. The attacks against others are only at the 25th level. They can't even stop this. Qin Feng was a little emotional. These players are really too weak, right? His Umbra perception told him that not far below the space, there were about 6 or 7 Coconut Country players struggling in the continuous lightning attacks. Sometimes they were hit and paralyzed, unable to move. Sometimes they were fixed and unable to continue diving, and they were anxious like monkeys. Their combat power was quite high in their respective levels, so they could persist here. But in this silent thunder disaster link, it was still difficult for them to move forward. It's not easy to struggle to this point. I'll send you off. Qin Feng attacked without hesitation. Not caring about exposing his arrival, he remained invisible, and the Deathwings behind him spread out, taking him down thousands of meters in an instant, and killing several Coconut Country players along the way. Among them, there was a codenamed Joseph or something, who actually exploded the second rune of the ancient god of natural disasters for Qin Feng. Not bad. Qin Feng happily took it away. Then, he continued to sneak. His shadow perception told him that there seemed to be one last Coconut Country player in the area below, just after Qin Feng killed Joseph and several others. The major guild channels in Coconut Country all exploded instantly. What? Shadow is coming. How is this possible? Has the news of our Calamity Ancient God rune leaked out? Isn't this coming too fast? For a moment, all the players involved in this incident were dumbfounded. At the same time, Qin Feng finally passed the second trial area. Come to the third trial area, Destruction Fire. In this area, Qin Feng's shadow perception sensed a figure. Is it Sarah? Qin Feng was immediately happy when he noticed the other person's presence. It's not that he knew this person, but Qin Feng had heard of this woman in his previous life. Now that I think about it, this woman's talent seems to be quite good. Even for me now, it can bring considerable improvement. Qin Feng suddenly had an idea. Now in Sakura Country, Matsushita, Singyue's control is already quite stable, and she doesn't even use her brother's talent, Meat Mountain Puppet. In this case, replacing the talent plundered by the Eye of Surgery with a talent that can enhance Qin Feng's own will be more effective. However, when Qin Feng wanted to attack Sarah, he suddenly discovered that Sarah, who was dressed like a hot female pirate, had completely given up resistance in this destructive fire disaster. Even the woman was still shouting to the surroundings, "The shadow is coming. Since you are here, I will give up resistance." This is the Calamity Ancient God rune in my hand. Hearing this, Qin Feng was a little silent. This woman seems to be very smart, so should we deal with her? Faced with this question, Qin Feng only thought for a short moment and came up with the answer. Do it. Must do it. Her talent should be able to directly improve my combat power. It just so happens that after this qualification trial is over, there will be a full civilization ranking trial. The stronger my strength, the better. For the time being, Qin Feng does not know what the full civilization challenge of the Calamity Ancient God is like. But according to the previous challenge of the Skeleton God, it should require the player's damage output, ability, and survivability. So the higher the output, the better. After all, Qin Feng knows that this kind of full civilization Ancient God challenge is a real-time ranking. So in order to prevent being surpassed by others in the future, everything must be done to the extreme. Then, the talent of Sarah in front of him is crucial. Although she seems to be very obedient, I can only borrow her talent first. It's called borrowing. Because if this woman performs well in the future, Qin Feng can also consider returning the talent to her. After all, the talent of the Eye of Surgery is not a permanent one. As long as you get divine weapons later, you can consume divinity, and 24 hours after the talent is taken away, you can snatch it back. However, at present, except for Qin Feng, no one else on Blue Star can get divine weapons for the time being, so Qin Feng can borrow the talents of others for as long as he wants. Although Lutixir has come to the Coconut Country, but it is still not so convenient to cross the ruins of major cities if there are no player targets within the range. She cannot open up new hunting grounds. My Abyss Puppet will stay in the Abyss World to spawn monsters. Then, I can only find a spokesperson in this Coconut Country to be Lutixir's tour guide. Sarah is not only a local, but also one of the 4 strongest people in the Coconut Country. Qin Feng believes that if she is willing, she can definitely be a good tour guide. When Qin Feng made this decision, he remained invisible and almost instantly dived in front of Sarah. Not to mention, With this woman's temperament and hot body, although she is just pretending to be a female pirate, she is probably very attractive because she has been a boss for a long time, even with Osirio's eye. I am afraid there is nothing wrong with it. But Qinfeng at this time naturally didn't care about these things. He came to Sarah and watched the woman take a natural disaster, ancient God rune engraved with lightning patterns in her hand, and took the rune away without hesitation. So far, Qinfeng finally got all 3 natural disaster ancient God runes in his hands. Did Shadow take it away? As for Sarah, the woman was wearing a camouflage black eye mask, and a hint of surprise appeared on her pretty face, and her heartbeat could not help but accelerate. She didn't see any figure at all, but the natural disaster ancient God rune in her hand was taken away. According to the discussion in the guild channel, who else could it be but Shadow? Although it's a pity that the rune was taken away, I can't resist the strength of Shadow. Sarah sighed secretly. At this time, she was already unable to resist the attack of the destruction fire on the 3rd level, which made her realize that her limit was almost here. When the ancient God rune in her hand was taken away, she instantly suffered double the frequency of fire damage. The scorching flames rushed towards her, burning her pirate costume completely, and the blood bar on her head was almost emptied instantly. Qinfeng looked at Sarah's body in front of him, which quickly burned from white to charcoal without wasting any time. Directly used the Eye of Surgery order on it, although it's a bit of a waste of time to perform surgery here, but the rewards for this qualification trial are just average. There's no need to pursue too much extreme. Anyway, there won't be any ranking. The most important thing is to obtain her talent and enter the full civilization challenge, so Sarah soon found that she was in tragedy. Originally, she thought that after handing over the ancient God rune, her journey of this trial had come to an end, and she would be resurrected in the guild hideout. But soon she found out. She was indeed resurrected in the guild hideout, but suddenly, she felt something was wrong. Her talent, Battle Art, became increasingly dim, and after just 2 seconds, it even turned gray and became unusable. What the hell? Sarah, who was originally quite relaxed, was suddenly confused. The most important reason for her to rise in the Coconut Country was this emerald level talent. As a result, her talent suddenly became inexplicably unusable. Then a system, the prompt made her dumbfounded. Your talent, Battle Art, has been taken away by player Shadow. What? You must consume your divinity after 24 hours to get your talent back. Sarah cursed directly, and then felt like crying. I gave you the rune, and you still want to take my talent? Shadow, you are not a human. The most helpless thing is that Sarah can't tell this news, because now she is one of the 4 kings of Coconut Country, and she controls too many resources and players. Once this news spreads, it will bring a devastating blow to her and her guild. It seems that I can only find a way to find Shadow to see if I can get the talent back first. Sarah is a little helpless. She feels that this possibility is very low, but under the current circumstances, she has no other way. Of course, she also knew that Shadow was now undergoing the trial of the Scourge God. No matter what, she would definitely not be able to find Shadow now. Let's go back to the West Coast first and try to wait for Shadow to appear. Sarah sighed. This Shadow is so strong. His talent must be very strong, and he wants to steal mine. How shameless. At this time, Qinfeng nodded with satisfaction. This woman's talent is really good. You activated the order Eye of Surgery. This order enters a 24-hour cooldown. Sir, you plundered the talent Art of Combat. Congratulations on obtaining the talent Art of Combat.
Tattoo.
Art of Combat. Emerald level talent. Passive effect. When you launch a ranged attack, the next melee attack damage increases by 100%. When you launch a melee attack, the next range attack damage increases by 100% with a built-in cooldown of 1 second. This is a very strong burst talent, which can switch between melee and range combat and significantly improves output, which is particularly suitable for Sarah's gunfighter profession. Therefore, Sarah's fighting style can be called art. She is well known throughout the ruins of Manila. She has long been the dream lover of countless young people in the ruins of Manila. It's a pity that no one can subdue her. If there is no built-in cooling of 1 second, the level of this talent is definitely more than emerald level. Very good. In this way, my burst is higher. Qinfeng is very satisfied with the gift from this woman. At this point, Qinfeng also came up with the true use of the Eye of Surgery. This order is not used to seize other people's talents permanently, but to switch different talents according to one's own needs, especially when you reach the Land of Order in the future, because this order is used on corpses. So corpses cannot consume divinity and offset the effect of order. So this order can plunder the talents of various strong people. Even if the opponent has divine weapons, the talent can be taken back after 24 hours. Within these 24 hours, Qinfeng can also have the right to use the opponent's talent, and can already do a lot of things. I don't know what the effect of Qin Wuye's talent is. Based on the current situation, she comes to kill Qin Xiaoyu and me every time she reincarnates, in order to become stronger. Why kill me and Qin Xiaoyu, not others? Can you become stronger by killing your relatives? Then if I take away her talent, wouldn't it be the other way around? Kanfeng took a breath of cold air. Could it be that the future path will be to understand Qin Wuyue and become Qin Wuyue? If that day really comes, Qin Wuyue's expression will be very interesting. At this moment, Kanfeng put these thoughts behind his mind. After taking Sarah's Art of Combat talent, Kanfeng refocused on the current qualification test. First floor, flood. Second floor, thunderstorm. Third floor, fire. Is there anything else below? Kanfeng found that when he dived to the third floor of the destruction fire area, his descent speed became slower. In the space, in addition to the extremely high frequency of fire damage, there are some more things than the upper two floors. There are many fire dragons patrolling in the space. Good fellow. Do these fire dragons chase people? Under normal circumstances? If you want to continue to move forward on this level, you must avoid the patrol routes of those fire dragons. Otherwise, once you provoke those fire dragons, the attacks will definitely not be able to be endured by ordinary people. This will waste a lot of time. Even Qinfeng, in this layer of space, because of the sticky space texture around him, the fastest flying speed is limited from nearly 3 meters per second to only 1 times the speed of sound. Directly suppress 9 times the speed. Each layer suppresses the speed 3 times more. I wonder if there is a layer below. Qinfeng is a little annoyed. In order to save time, he is going to test the patrolling fire dragons in the space. If he can resist, he can ignore those fire dragons and sprint directly downwards to pass this layer at the fastest speed. Swish. Qinfeng made 3 consecutive shadow jumps and found that even the longest distance of shadow jumps in this space was shortened by 9 times. There is no way. This must be a rule power of some kind of space. Qinfeng at present cannot break it. But with his 3 shadow jumps, he has approached a patrolling fire dragon and directly attracted the attention of the patrolling fire dragon. It is called a fire dragon, but it is actually just a flame spirit condensed in the sea of fire. It has a long body, a bit like an oriental dragon, and is burning with red flames. It is completely invincible and will not be harmed. Qinfeng suffered burning damage just by approaching. He found that this burning damage is similar to the surroundings of the strange brother he encountered before, directly causing percentage damage to health points. And the closer the distance, the higher the damage, which is absolutely fatal to ordinary players. Players like Sarah, if caught up by a fire dragon, will definitely not last more than 5 seconds and will be burned to ashes. What's more, the flames in the surrounding environment are still causing damage to the player every moment. Fortunately, in this environment, Qinfeng found that his dodge to restore full blood effect played a huge role. Although the burning damage near the fire dragon cannot be dodged, but the high frequency flame attack from the environment can be dodged, this also caused Qinfeng's blood bar to remain stable at full value. Okay, so I don't have to worry about these fire dragons. I can just cross it. Qinfeng relied on his speed, which was still twice as fast as these fire dragons. With the speed of the fire dragon and the special deceleration effect of this space, it is impossible for ordinary players to get rid of the fire dragon. But Qinfeng is faster than the fire dragon. As long as he is not burned to death when crossing, Qinfeng will always be safe. So, go! 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 The death wings behind Qinfeng spread out and flapped violently. Taking him to dive at full speed, he completely ignored all the fire dragons around him and rushed across the space. He rushed straight ahead. After just 3 minutes, there were dozens of fire dragons following him, but none of them were as fast as him. Finally, he saw a giant flame vortex below. This flame vortex was just like the big vortex on the sea surface at the beginning of the trial, except that it was made of flames and had an extremely strong chaos, superordinate affix. Good guy? Do you want to pass through this flame vortex in the end? Or do you want to go around it from the side? Qinfeng observed it for a while and found that there was a safe passage next to the big flame vortex. The passage had no flames and looked very safe. One road was a seemingly safe passage, and there was a white light at the end of the passage. One road was a flame vortex full of chaos affixes, and I didn't know what was in the vortex. Which road to choose? In this situation, Qinfeng could only say that he would definitely choose the more difficult road. Anyway, the gray chicken is immune to chaos, so the chaos affix of the flame vortex is completely ineffective against me. In this case, wouldn't it be unfair to the gray chicken if I don't take the chaos path? Qinfeng always remembered that this was the qualification trial for the ancient god of natural disaster. Only by passing the trial and getting enough points can one be qualified to participate in the ranking challenge of all civilizations. If you just leave from the safe passage, the difficulty of this trial is too low. When is the time to pass the trial? When is the way to pass the trial? Whether to take the safe passage or the dangerous passage is absolutely different. There is another possibility that seemingly safe passage is simply a trap. Qinfeng didn't hesitate at all. When he felt that the chaos gauge on his body began to stack up, he waved his hand and summoned the gray chicken to his side. Gray Chicken. Give me chaos immunity. When the Gray Chicken came to this space surrounded by flames, it was like returning home, completely immune to flame damage. When this guy heard Qin Feng's words, he immediately put his wings on his waist and said, "Your Majesty, my name is now Kukudia. Don't call me by the wrong name." Qin Feng was silent for half a second. Okay. Little Kuzi, give me chaos immunity. For a moment, a young Hell Phoenix let out a painful wail on the spot. Swish. With the skill of Spring of Chaos released by the Gray Chicken, Qin Feng was directly immune to chaos. And with the strong chaos affix, he rushed directly into the fierce flame vortex in front. Of course, Qin Feng did not rush in without any preparation. Before he went in, he stayed for half a second and let the Gray Chicken go in to test it. After all, the Gray Chicken is now immune to fire damage and chaos affixes, so it is perfect to explore the flame vortex. Soon, Qin Feng observed it. In that big vortex, the fire damage caused per second is almost 10 times that of the outside world. Although the Gray Chicken is immune to all fire damage, Qin Feng can also check the damage value it is immune to. This amount of damage is not a threat to me at all. This has to mention the attribute of 90% damage reduction from the God of Skeletons, which makes Qin Feng's resistance to beating sword tenfold. Since the skill of the Snatching Master has evolved to the ancient level and upgraded to level 40, the upper limit of the stolen attributes is 18 points in total, and it can be used repeatedly on the same target. Qin Feng has maxed out this skill in just one day. The attributes provided by the Snatching Master are 4507 points of strength, 4618 points of constitution, 4479 points of agility, and 4396 points of spirit. This makes Qin Feng's final attributes reach 18, 942 points in agility, strength, and spirit. And the 3-level constitution total increase attribute from the Death Praise makes Qin Feng's constitution attribute reach 13 points. And the maximum blood volume has reached 95 million. Qin Feng's resistance to beating has at least doubled compared to before the evolution of the Snatching Master. If the damage from the 3-level natural disaster environment before was just a tickle to Qin Feng, then the damage in this flame vortex is like a massage for Qin Feng. With the Gray Chicken leading the charge, Qin Feng felt relieved. Rushed directly into the vortex. In the flame vortex, it was difficult for him to spread his death wings. The terrifying flame damage and chaos affixes surged, but Qin Feng easily blocked them. He rushed to the end of the vortex and broke through the barrier of chaotic flames in just 10 seconds. With a loud bang, as his eyes turned dark, a system prompt sounded in his mind. Congratulations on completing the natural disaster trial. Down. Your clearance score is 59. 48 seconds after waiting by the flame vortex. You have won the highest level reward. Please open your treasure chest. As this system prompt came, Qin Feng found that he appeared in a completely dark space, and he couldn't see his hand in front of him. And in front of him appeared a treasure chest emitting crimson. Sure enough, the best reward for the first stage of this qualification trial is only a mythical treasure chest. The same as the one from the God of Skeletons, Qin Feng no longer had any special expectations for the mythical treasure chest. After all, he had too many good things on him now. It would be fine if he opened some skill books. But if he opened equipment, it might not be useful. Just as Qin Feng was about to open the treasure chest, a new reminder came to his mind again. Congratulations on your natural disaster trial results, which have been appreciated by the ancient god of natural disasters, Bira. You have obtained the qualification to participate in the survival challenge of the ancient god of natural disasters. Warning. This challenge will definitely lead to your death, but the longer you survive before death, the higher your ranking will be. In the end, a permanent gain will be given according to your overall civilization ranking. Reincarnation gain. Tip. If you rank first, you will receive a reincarnation gain reward of Bloodline Column +3. Tip. After receiving the reward, your gain attribute will change in real time according to the real-time ranking of the challenge. Now. When Qin Feng heard this system prompt, he was shocked. What the hell? Did I hear it right? Bloodline Column +3? This. Qin Feng was dumbfounded on the spot. Bloodline Column? Generally, players only have one Bloodline Column at first. The second Bloodline Column is opened at level 30, and then the third Bloodline is opened at level 50 for higher levels. Although no one has reached Qin Feng's previous life, it can be learned from some ancient god ruins and tombs that the fourth Bloodline will be opened at level 100. It is conceivable how important the Bloodline Column is to players. I have never heard of anything that can increase the Bloodline Column. That's not right. Before, there was some information from the memories of Diarbot and others, saying that Bloodline Columns can be increased from some special channels. One of the ways is the survival challenge of the ancient god of natural disasters. Right? If I can get first place, I will have 3 more bloodlines than others. Qin Feng dared not even think about how strong he would become. He only has two bloodlines now. The first is the Soul Devourer bloodline. This bloodline laid the foundation for his super high numerical combat power. Without the Soul Devourer bloodline, Qinfeng's damage would probably be less than 1/10 of what it is now. The second is the Deathwing Angel bloodline. This bloodline is still evolving, but the current effect alone has brought a qualitative change to Qinfeng's combat power. What if there are 3 more bloodlines? Unimaginable. However, this bloodline column is a reincarnation gain, just like the one on the side of the Skeleton God. It changes in real time. If I get first place this time, then all the other players who get this gain will move 1 position back in the ranking. If the second place reward is bloodline column plus 2, then the first place fell to the second place. Wouldn't it be 1 less bloodline column? Will the extra bloodline be banned or disappear? Qinfeng didn't know, but it didn't matter. He didn't need to think about it anyway. What he needed to do next was do your best to survive in the survival challenge of the Ancient God of Natural Disaster. Although my survival ability is a level lower than my output ability, but with Samia's Hell Boundary Monument and the invincibility of the Bone Eviscerating Blade when it is charged, I may not be unable to fight with others. In addition, the Ancient God challenge should not only test one aspect of the player, so, in the process of this survival challenge, there may also be places that test the player's output. I hope so. Otherwise, wouldn't the talent borrowed from Sarah be useless? As for what the situation is, we can only wait until the challenge is ready to start and check the specific rules. Before that, Qinfeng plans to open the mythical treasure chest in front of him, maybe at the last minute. This treasure chest can still give him a boost. Just when Qinfeng was preparing for the survival challenge of the Ancient God of Natural Disasters, the Land of Order, the Blood Source Temple, due to the killing of the world spine of the Blue Star Civilization, the Land of Order has become extremely lively, and the Master of the Blood Source Temple, the 8-armed Master from the Star Pirates, is also collecting intelligence from all sides. In addition to killing the world spine in 2.5 months and breaking the record of the Land of the End, there is also a message. The 8-armed Master with a weird look just received a message, and his brows were locked. Regarding the reincarnation, gain of the God of Bones, someone took the first place, and the ranking of all the people behind dropped 1 place. I'm afraid it was done by the same person. How could this person be so evil? After receiving this news, the 8-armed Palace Master looked at his reincarnation gain. The most important one is the challenge gain from the Calamity Ancient God. He ranked 10th in the survival challenge of the Calamity Ancient God, and the reward was Bloodline Column plus 2, which is the same reward as the 2nd to 10th, but the higher the ranking, the more extra rewards there will be. I hope that guy won't participate in the challenge of the Calamity Ancient God. The 8-armed Palace Master began to pray, because once his ranking drops 1 more place, then his reincarnation gain will become Bloodline Column plus 1, and the missing bloodline will be temporarily banned and cannot take effect, and this will cause the combat power of the 8-armed Palace Master to plummet. 3 more updates. Please use love to generate electricity. Just when the 8-armed Master of the Blood Source Temple prayed that the Ancient God of Doom would not favor him, Qinfeng had already opened the mythical treasure chest in front of him. Originally, Qinfeng had no hope, but after opening the treasure chest, he saw the most important piece of equipment inside, which made his eyes light up. The qualification trial of the God of Skeletons before gave me the mythical equipment Power of the End Death Hood. Is this Ancient God of Disasters against the God of Skeletons, and specifically against him? Not only did it also give out the hat part, but it was also a mythical divine weapon? Divine weapons. The attributes are obviously higher than ordinary mythical equipment. Qinfeng checked the attributes. 9-faced helmet of the Ancient God of Disasters, Yudo's divine weapon. Assassin armor head. Physical defense, blind 8. All element resistance, plus F1480. Hit correction, plus 960%. All attributes, pull for 86. Skill range, plus 209%. Required level, 40. Grade, mythic. Special, upper threshold, plus 40. Divinity, 6061. Divinity added every 32 years. Special effect, elemental resistance. Passive effect, you can choose to be completely immune to one of the 9 elemental damage water element, fire element, wind element, thunder element, ice element, light element, dark element, poison element, blood element, and you can switch the type of elemental damage you are immune to at any time. But Divinity special effect, 9-sided elemental body. Consume 60 points of divinity to activate. During the duration of the special effect, you will be immune to any elemental damage and will not be affected by the upper affixes. It lasts for 300 seconds. Man, this assassin type head armor does not have a fixed shape. Qinfeng held it in his hand. At first, it seemed to be holding a ball of flame, sometimes turning into ice mist, sometimes turning into lightning, presenting a colorful gas form. When Qinfeng put on this equipment, 7 kinds of elemental mists with changing colors appeared around his head, covering his face. Only his eyes could see through the mist, which looked extremely mysterious and noble. This special effect, it's simply the nemesis of the mage system. Water, fire, wind, thunder, ice, light, dark, poison, and blood. 9 kinds of elemental damage. Qinfeng can choose one of them at ordinary times and be completely immune. And after turning on the divine special effect, Qinfeng is completely immune to the 9 kinds of elemental damage. Although the effect seems to be not as good as the invincible divine special effect of my previous life, but the duration of this divine special effect is long. In the previous life, the divine weapon Qinfeng obtained had an invincible effect. It was strong, but the duration was not long. Not even 1/3 of the time of this helmet. When facing a magic opponent, the effect is far inferior to this 9-sided helmet of Utos. And the basic attribute is randomly assigned a skill range, which is good. Counting the skill range special effects on one of Qinfeng's rings, Qinfeng's current skill range has increased by a total of 508%. The ricochet range of the Shadow Blade, the attack range of the Instant Annihilation, and even the perception range of Qinfeng's Shadow are all included. Then, Qinfeng checked the other things in the treasure chest and found that except for this divine weapon, they were all materials for equipment manufacturing. Although these materials are precious, they are nothing to Qinfeng. After changing the equipment, Qinfeng became more powerful. Even this 9-sided helmet of Utos must be very useful for the survival challenge of the ancient god of natural disasters. One of the elements is immune. If you encounter a fire damage level, lightning damage level, etc., wouldn't it be like swimming in a pool? Very quickly, Qinfeng floated in this pure dark space. He first took out various magic potions from the greedy space and took them all at once to improve his condition to the best. Then he issued an order, decided to start the survival challenge of the ancient god of natural disasters. When Qinfeng's order was issued, he suddenly felt that the ground seemed to appear under his feet, allowing him to stand firmly. Then some dim and hazy light slowly appeared around him. Obviously, the area he was in changed at this moment. His Umbra perception scanned the surrounding environment and soon let him know he seemed to have come to a place like the surface of the moon, full of craters and potholes. Before he could think about where this place was, he suddenly felt that there were several existences like light balls, appearing not far away around him. These guys are... Qinfeng immediately discovered that these light balls were actually existences with thoughts and consciousness. Just like the old woman in the temple of the goddess of death and the great swordsman Teramon in the tomb of the god of bones. These light balls are the bearers of responsible for guarding and running the survival challenge of the ancient god of natural disaster. Just then, Qinfeng heard these light balls of different colors communicating with each other, and they used the ancient language of the gods. Poison elf male. Sneer. Oh, a human has come. And an assassin? Rare. Rare? Storm elf female? Cute. Wow. I like his wings. Like Thunder elf male. Irritable. You disturb my sleep. Damn. Secret water elf female. Yawn. Woo. Look what I saw. A fragile assassin can't hold on for long. I will continue to sleep. Goodbye. Wildfire elf male. Murderous. Kill. Frost elf female. Cold. This human assassin looks ordinary. Boring. A total of 9 elves of different colors, all of whom were just awakened by Qinfeng, and their reactions were different. Their emotions seemed to be relatively simple, but they were obviously intelligent beings, presenting a group of light balls the size of a human head, floating in this space. Although most of them didn't seem to like being disturbed, Qinfeng had already come, so they all quickly floated towards Qinfeng together. Then a green light ball, sometimes larger and sometimes smaller, flew in front of Qinfeng, looking very curious. It made a cute female voice. Hello, human player. We are the elemental elves raised by Lord Utos. Are you sure you want to participate in Lord Utos' survival challenge? Come on. This is the Storm Elf. The simulated voice is very cute, and it corresponds to its personality to a certain extent. Confirmed. Qinfeng nodded to confirm. The green light ball of the Storm Spirit flashed twice, as if it was blinking. Okay. Then I will read you the rules next. I will only say it once. Listen carefully and remember it. As the green light ball continued to flash, Qinfeng quickly learned the specific rules of the survival challenge of the ancient god of natural disasters. And when he learned the rules, he was immediately confused. This rule, it's too suitable for me, right? It's a challenge tailor-made for me. If I don't take first place, who will take first place? The most important rule of this survival challenge is, in order to ensure that the challenger can fully exert his abilities, many elemental spirits monsters will be refreshed in the environment during the challenge. These elemental spirits will have various elemental attacks and can be attacked and have health bars. Qinfeng knows. The purpose of this rule is to ensure the unique survival ability of certain players. For example, attacking to suck blood, killing enemies to recover blood, etc. By the way, It is still testing the output ability of the player. After all, if the damage is not high enough, the more elemental spirits are refreshed, the greater the survival pressure on the player will be. For Qin Feng, it is this rule that makes him call it a good guy. Because death praise. As long as you kill a hostile target, you can stack or restore 1 resurrection. If there are enough monsters around, I can revive infinitely. As expected of the Deathwing Angel bloodline with god level potential, I am invincible in this challenge. According to the rules, as long as I have resurrected times, this survival challenge is not over. Theoretically, I can survive indefinitely, unless the monsters that spawn later can't even be killed by me, and can't replenish the number of layers of death praise. What is luck? This is it. Qin Feng even suspected that his luck had directly killed his luck. I hope I haven't used up my luck in the future. Qin Feng smiled secretly. Under such rules, Qin Feng is the first in the survival challenge of the ancient god of natural disasters in the whole civilization, and he is bound to win. As for other rules, they are quite ordinary. The 9 natural disaster elves that appeared around did not interfere with the process of the survival challenge. They were just watching, providing energy to refresh the elemental spirit for the challenge, and guiding the challengers with rules and issuing rewards. During the survival challenge, there will be various natural disasters with harsh environments, and various types of natural disasters will cause violent attacks with elemental damage. The damage will become higher and higher, the attacks will become more and more frequent, and every once in a while, some special negative effects will appear in the environment, forming a special suppression on the challenger. As for what these negative effects are, the Storm Elves did not say, and it is obvious that challengers need to react on the spot and adapt to the situation. In the process of this survival challenge, the longer you survive, the better the final result. And like other challenges with full civilization rankings, the final result will be weighted according to the game time. The shorter the time of the God Abandoned game, the higher the weighted score. Okay, I know. We can start now. Qin Feng nodded and said to the flashing green Storm Elf, "Okay, challenger, come on, come on." The Storm Elf flashed a few times, and then suddenly floated into the sky that seemed not far away, as if it had turned into a green star and stared at Qin Feng. The other natural disaster elves also flew into the sky, overlooking Qin Feng. They looked at Qin Feng standing on the bumpy land and talked to each other in the ancient language of the gods, obviously. They didn't think Qin Feng could hear their words, because the environment they were in was a vacuum. In a vacuum, sound cannot be transmitted, and they don't think Qin Feng can understand the ancient language they speak. But how could they know that Qin Feng has a super strong Umbra perception and happened to learn the ancient language of the gods? Poison elf male. Sneering. Level 40 Little Assassin can only last 3 seconds in the challenge set by Lord Utos. Ridiculous. Ridiculous. Secret water elf female. Yawning. Wow, in the language of Blue Star Daxia. 3-second man seems to be a very bad adjective. Fun. Fun. Absolute dark elf male. Gloomy. I also learned an idiom from Blue Star Daxia called overestimating one's own abilities. Overestimating one's own abilities. Overestimating one's own abilities. Holy light elf female. Gentle. Don't say that. The fact that this challenger can come here shows that his strength is not weak. Moreover, we don't know where he is from Blue Star. Civilization. This year is the year of reincarnation. Don't be anxious. Don't be anxious. Wildfire elf male. Full of murderous intent. More than 100 years ago, an old guy from the Blue Star Civilization Sakura country came here and got the 829th place in the whole civilization. His strength was barely acceptable. But that old guy was too arrogant and even teased our Storm Sister. Hateful. Hateful. Blood elf male. Elegant. Daxia country and Sakura country are not the same country. Don't hate the whole house and the whole dog. Can this word be used like this? Calm down. Calm down. Thunder elf male. Irritable. They are all from the Blue Star Civilization. They are all garbage. Garbage. Qin Feng was a little speechless. No wonder. These natural disaster elves seemed to have some resistance to him. It turned out that someone outside had ruined the reputation of the entire civilization. More than 100 years ago, an old man from the Sakura country came here to participate in the survival challenge of the ancient natural disaster god, and got 829th place. Of course, the 829th place at that time should have been squeezed down a lot now. Qin Feng glanced at the reward table. First place, 3 bloodline slots, 2nd to 10th place. 2 bloodline slots, 11th to 100th place. All have 1 bloodline slot. Starting from the 100th place, there is no bloodline slot, and you can only increase the basic attribute conversion rate of 1 bloodline, ranging from 80% to 40%. After the 1000th place, there is only less than 5% conversion rate increase, which is a consolation prize in the godforsaken game. Each bloodline can convert the player's 4-dimensional attributes into higher attack, defense, health, and other combat attributes. And the conversion rate of most bloodlines is fixed. Only Qinfeng's bloodline is special. Soul Devourer can devour skills to increase conversion rate, and Deathwing Angel bloodline can increase conversion rate through advancement. Other people can't increase conversion rate at all. So, being able to increase bloodline conversion rate is also very important for improving player strength. It can be seen from how much the Soul Devourer has improved Qinfeng, although I don't know who the old guy from Sakura Country is. He dared to tease these natural disaster elves. Isn't he too bold? Qinfeng was a little curious. How did that guy tease? He actually ruined the reputation of the entire Blue Star civilization? Of course, Qinfeng couldn't know it now. With the 9 flashing natural disaster elves leaving the field, he began to watch the battle. The survival challenge of the ancient god of natural disaster finally began. Fire, lightning, and storms began to appear around Qinfeng. And at the beginning of the challenge, Qinfeng heard the system prompt, "The survival challenge of the ancient god of natural disaster is open. You are under special suppression. The air in your environment disappears, and you will not be able to breathe." Oh my god. Is this how you start? Qinfeng was shocked. At the same time, in the Land of Order, there was an old man from the Sakura Country. His name was Taiyo Okamoto. He was doing some hard labor in the Thousand Eyes Ancient God Temple he joined. To this day, he regrets it very much. In the challenge of the Ancient God of Calamity, he was quick-witted and teased one of the Storm Elves. As a result, when he came to the Land of Order, he was always targeted by the people of the Temple of Calamity, resulting in a very poor development environment. Achoo. Taiyo Okamoto suddenly sneezed, making him wonder if someone was talking about him. Okamoto Taichung sighed. He recalled that when he was still in reincarnation, he participated in the survival test of the Calamity God. "I represent the great Sakura nation. I am the pride of the Blue Star civilization to be able to rank more than 800 in the challenge. It's a pity that I'm about to fall out of the top 1,000 now." Okamoto Taichung was distressed because of this. He hasn't gone out to kill monsters and level up recently, because his combat power is in a shaky process. It is possible that the reincarnation, gain of the Calamity God, will weaken his combat power at any time. If he suddenly becomes weak in battle, it will be absolutely fatal. In fact, someone from the Blue Star civilization suggested that no matter what the ranking is or whether the gain will be weakened, he should go out and kill more monsters while he is still strong. But Okamoto Taichung is too cowardly. After coming to the Land of Order for more than 100 years, he is actually not satisfied with his performance during the reincarnation. However, even if he was not satisfied, he did not have the courage to go back to reincarnate and start over, because he was able to come to the Land of Order because he betrayed his wife in that reincarnation. If not, he would never have been able to participate in the survival challenge of the Calamity Ancient God and get a ranking in it. If he went back again, he might not even be able to come to the Land of Order. Coming to the Land of Order, at least I can guarantee that I will always be alive. If I'm lucky, I can have a chance to go to other sublimated civilizations and find some women to play with. Taiyo Okamoto sighed again. When he originally came to the Land of Order, he was full of energy and thought that he was 1 in a million and was at the level of the savior of the Blue Star civilization. Only after coming here did he find that his talent and profession were actually at the bottom of the Land of Order. Now in the chat channel of the Blue Star civilization, he only has a little say because of his seniority. After all, he has been here for a long time, and his level and combat power are definitely higher than those who have just arrived. But in the Land of Order, the higher the level, the more difficult it is to continue to become stronger. Therefore, when Okamoto Taichung first came, he was fine. But in the past few decades, his development has been difficult. And recently, what makes Okamoto Taichung most uncomfortable is that the only thing he can brag about, the reincarnation gain, is about to be squeezed out of the top 1,000. However, after I fell to 1,000, I have been hiding for more than 3 months, and there has been no movement. It just so happens that there is a group activity in the Thousand Eyes Ancient God Temple, and we are going to encircle and suppress an immortal level boss you can take advantage of now to participate and get more life and rewards. Okamoto Taichung likes this kind of group activity the most, because he can fish in troubled waters and there is basically no big danger. After all, he is just an output profession, and he is responsible for output in the boss battle. This time, we have to chase the boss, and the movement speed is required to be more than 24 times the normal speed of sound. I just meet the standard, take this opportunity to make a final profit. Okamoto Taichung finally made a decision. In fact, the registration for the Thousand Eyes Temple event has been released for 2 days. He thought about it for 2 days before finally deciding to go for it, and now it is the deadline for registration, and the boss siege is about to begin. It was when Taisheng Okamoto made the decision to go to the Thousand Eyes Temple to participate in the boss siege. He didn't know that Qinfeng was in the survival challenge of the ancient god of natural disasters, in a place with potholes and potholes, like the surface of the moon. Qinfeng's challenge had just started when he heard the system prompt, "There will be no air in the surrounding environment." Under this special suppression, whether it is the human race or other races, they are basically out of the normal living environment. According to the setting of the godforsaken game, in the absence of air, the player's attribute values will gradually be suppressed. If it is based on theory, then in the case of long-term inability to breathe air, the body's metabolic function will no longer be normal, resulting in a decrease in attributes, which is quite reasonable. However, my attribute values are high enough. If there is just no air, I will have no problem living for 3 or 5 days. After all, Qinfeng's physical attribute at this time has reached 35 thousand, and the survival ability at this level is 3 or 4,000 times that of ordinary people. How can this attribute be possessed by a level 40 player? For ordinary level 40 players, it is amazing to have a physical fitness of 2 or 3,000. It was in this extreme environment that Qinfeng saw that around him, various elements of light alternately lit up. Suddenly, a rumble sounded. A lightning bolt fell from the sky and arrived in an instant. At this moment, the sky was bright, and the whole sky seemed to be split in half by this lightning. The thunder was so powerful that it almost spread over dozens of kilometers around. The originally gray environment around was instantly illuminated as if it were daytime. Qinfeng, standing in place, was like a small grass on the ground. The lightning fell, and it seemed that he would be killed on the spot. At this moment, the 9-sided helmet of Utos on Qinfeng's head directly emitted a lavender light, covering his whole body, making him completely immune to the damage of the thunder attribute. Garo immune. The effect from the 9-sided helmet directly immune to the thunder element, damaged this time. Qinfeng stood on the ground, motionless. Then, in no more than 1 second, the ground under his feet loosened. With a loud bang, the earth's core surged with fire. A red pillar of fire burst out from under his feet, covering his entire body, and instantly burned him into a fireman. However, Qinfeng reacted extremely quickly, and instantly switched the elemental immunity of the 9-sided helmet to fire element immunity, Kagero immune. Then, more and more powerful natural disaster attacks came from all directions. Wind, rain, thunder and lightning, earth, fire and sea tides. These natural disaster elemental attacks are much stronger than those in the previous qualification trials, but Qinfeng reacted very quickly. Relying on the elemental immunity effect of controlling the 9-sided helmet, the whole person stood still. Zero immune, Zero immune. Zero immune? Elemental attacks fell on Qinfeng again and again, even covering him completely. However, facing these attacks, Qinfeng did not even dodge. This was to save energy in the absence of air. The less self-consumption, the longer it can last. And this situation directly surprised the 9 natural disaster elves watching the battle in the sky in the distance. The cute storm elf was very excited. Wow, I just suspected that he had a 9-faced helmet made by Lord Utos. Now it seems to be true. Awesome. Awesome. The poison elf changed his previous sarcasm and became very surprised. How is it possible? The 9-faced helmet was made by Lord Utos himself. Only the most outstanding challengers can get it magical. Magical? The frost elf said lightly. Since there is a 9-faced helmet, it is easy to get through the first half hour safely. Boring. Boring. The blood elf was elegant and at ease. This half hour is just an appetizer. After half an hour, the frequency of the Scourge's attacks will increase, and elemental spirit monsters will appear to be siege. That's when it will be a real challenge. Wait. The secret water elf, who had been yawning, was still a little unspirited. Who now the result of the 1000th place? How long have you survived? Confused.